I just flew into Las Vegas for CES. I haven't even unpacked my bags yet, and already big news around TVs starting to happen. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and I've been teasing for a while now that I thought CES 2023 was going to be a huge year for TVs, and it's definitely looking like that's going to be the case. Normally, I would be out here talking about what to expect, teasing a little bit about what we would see in the coming days at the trade show, but we actually have some hard facts to share with you, along with the usual teases. So let's go through brand by brand, what we know, what we don't yet know, what we think we can expect, and what is going to come in the way of details over the next coming days. Now, before I get into it, let me explain a little something here. I'm not going to be getting into deep details about some of these TVs. We're going to save that as we visit each brand and bring you up close and personal with the products that we're actually talking about. For now, I just kind of want to talk about what we're about to see, and for that, I think we've got to start with LG. So if we follow LG's model number convention over the past few years, then it would stand to reason we'd see a 4K C3 OLED, a 4K G3 OLED, and maybe an 8K Z3 OLED. I want to hone in on the G3 that has just been announced. Now, this is a TV that I think is going to make some of the biggest waves here at the show, at least from LG. What we're talking about here is an OLED TV that is claimed to be by LG up to 70% brighter than prior televisions. Now, there aren't a lot of details around that 70% number, but if we just assume for a moment that it's going to be LG's brightest OLED yet, that really means something, which leads us to believe, although it has not been formally announced, so this is speculation right now, that it may actually include the new micro lens array, or MLA technology, that has been rumored for a few months now. This is a technology that aims to focus light that is normally scattered, take that, rein it in, focus it at the viewer to increase brightness. Now, it isn't just panel architecture that is different. LG has confirmed that they have changed the processing a bit. So if you go with Brightness Booster Max and you pair that processing with a new panel architecture, we could be looking at anywhere from 1500, maybe 2000 nits peak brightness from LG's WRGB OLED. That would really be something. I can't wait to see it for myself. One more note on that super bright G3 OLED though. It's only going to be available in 3 sizes, 55, 65, and 75. So it's not going to go all the way up to the massive 97-inch OLED that we recently saw in our own offices. Now let's move on to Samsung. Samsung has not made any formal announcements as I record this video. Again, we'll be seeing those coming right here on this channel in the coming days. However, if we're speculating, I think we can safely speculate that Samsung's going to come out with a new version of its QD-OLED. Samsung just calls it OLED. We all know it's a quantum dot OLED technology. This year, it was the S95B, but we do expect to see some advancements. The S95B, which made a lot of waves this year, that was a first-gen technology. And so I think that it stands to reason we would see some improvements in its second year. Now, a lot of folks are hoping that it will come in a larger size. In 2022, you got a 55 and a 65-inch version. Will we see a 77-inch version at the show? I am very hopeful that we will. But again, there's no official confirmation on that. We'll be seeing that in the coming days as well. Of course, it's not all about QD-OLED for Samsung. In fact, Samsung still talks about its Neo QLED family, an LCD LED-based TV, as its sort of flagship product. And with the brightness wars going on right now, I think there's no doubt at all that we'll see an entirely new Neo QLED lineup, and they will be brighter. That might be their defining feature in terms of glitzy specs. But if I know Samsung, I think they're going to throw the kitchen sink of bells and whistles features into their Neo QLED lineup. So we're going to see all kinds of user features and bells and whistles in these TVs that we haven't seen before. Be interesting to see just how far Samsung takes it. I mean, at one point, they were talking about NFTs on their TVs. What will it be this year? We'll certainly find out soon. Next, I want to talk about TCL, or more to the point, what I can't talk about in regards to TCL. I can't disclose any information at this point. We'll have to wait until they make their formal announcement. But what I can tell you is you absolutely do not want to miss what TCL has to announce this year. I think it's going to open up a lot of questions. I think people are going to be a little bit surprised at what TCL has to offer up this year. So as we go forward, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so that you can see the news as it is happening. I'm telling you, I'm going to do an entire video just on TCL's decision making this year. It's going to be a very, very interesting year for TCL. Now, as long as we're talking about must-see announcements at the show this year, you do not want to miss what Roku has to say. It's going to be, dare I say, explosive. Big news. I'm going to do another complete video about that. We are going to hit you with all kinds of great information over the coming days from this show. Now let's talk about Hisense. Now, normally I come to CES already knowing what Hisense is going to show me, and then it's just a matter of getting out there on the show floor and recording the stuff and talking about it. This year, Hisense hasn't said a word, which is very different. So that has me thinking, well, what do they have in their back pocket? I guess we're going to find out soon enough, but I do think we can expect more of the same from Hisense, and that is shockery. Is that a word? It is now. I expect to be rather shocked by what Hisense is going to show. I think they're going to possibly bring some flagship televisions that previously were reserved for the China market here into the US. If the U8H was blasting the barriers of price to performance ratio, I imagine Hisense is going to go even harder this year. So that is relatively reliable, but in terms of details and specifics around how broad their range is, what kind of insane nits they're going for in terms of peak brightness, all of that remains to be seen. Now, my friends, let's talk about Sony. And again, I think this is something that you're only going to hear on this channel. I don't think that we're going to hear much about Sony TVs at CES 2023. I'm just going to leave that there. I have it on good authority. Not much I can say besides that, but don't get your hopes up for a bunch of TV news from Sony. Think maybe a little bit later this year we'll hear about some Sony TVs. It's a bit of a break from the norm. I do think Sony is going to have a full booth. I think they're going to announce some big products, but I just don't expect TVs to be a part of it. That's just the bottom line, and I'm going to leave that there. Now, as for Vizio, they are not attending CES this year, not formally speaking. They're not exhibiting here. So we also won't be hearing about any Vizio TVs at this show, I suspect. That's probably going to happen later this year, too. Now, here's something a little bit different. Skyworth. Not typically on my radar, but they are shipping TVs into the US and they are getting very aggressive with their specs. Are they any good? Well, hard to tell at a show, but I'm gonna go and look and I'm gonna show you what I see and tell you what I think about them. But a new name breaking into the scene here at CES, that's fine by me. All right, so that's the major TV brands covered. What else am I gonna be dealing with here at the show? Well, I'm definitely gonna be visiting both Samsung Display and LG Display. Now, you'll remember from last year that Samsung Display gave us our very first glimpse of the new QD-OLED technology before anybody really knew it was a thing, and before we knew for sure whether it was going to end up in any TVs. And of course, we ended up getting the Samsung S95B and the Sony A95K out of that. Well, I'm gonna visit Samsung Display again and see what kind of treats they have in store for us, because whatever it is Samsung Display is doing, that gives us a glimpse into the future of what Samsung Electronics might do with those products. Again, Samsung Display and Samsung Electronics, different companies within a bigger corporate umbrella. Just because Samsung Display makes it doesn't mean that Samsung Electronics is going to actually use it. But we can still glean a lot from a visit with that display corporation, and I can't wait to see what kind of new technologies they have to show us this year. Same deal with LG Display. This is where we first saw transparent OLED, which is used mostly in retail, not so much at the home, but it's also where we saw the first OLED EX technology. That's where they used deuterium inside the OLED panel to increase brightness. It's the first time that we ever saw the screen with the actuators making sound so that the screen was the speaker. We're gonna see more of that kind of new technology that may come in TVs later when we visit LG Display, and you're not gonna wanna miss that either. So that's what we're expecting in terms of TV news at CES, and I hope you can agree it's pretty exciting stuff. I think, again, this is gonna be an absolutely massive year for televisions. We don't find out about pricing, we don't find out about availability, but we do get to actually put our eyes on the products that we'll be able to buy later this year, products that I'm gonna pull in for review and that we're gonna get to check out later this year. It's a great way to start the new year, and I can't wait to bring you along with me. So it may only be about 20 hours or so until the next video comes out, but when I do come out with that next video, you are gonna get to go eyes on with the hottest new TVs right here at Digital Trends.